All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode of the London is Blue podcast, YouTube edition. And we are here today to do a little bit of a match preview for the Club World Cup quarterfinal match against Palmeiras. To do that, of course, I brought the experts in to the YouTube channel yet again. Jess and Nath, how are you guys doing? Starting with you, Jess.
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Rocking my own local club, Vozão. You should watch it, Ceará. So, talking about Chelsea with a Ceará jersey on, everything's great.
Feels natural, of course. And then
Yeah.
Nat, you're donning the squiggly kit from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, just to remember the Club World Cup, the old format, but still I got Thiago back. So yeah, maybe our paths will cross again. Who knows?
Maybe.
Hopefully.
The interesting part about the old Club World Cup format is the last time that we played Palmeiras was in the final of the Club World Cup, a 2-1 win after extra time. Of course, friend of the pod, Romelu Lukaku, headed us in front before Palmeiras equalized from the penalty spot, only for club legend Kai Havertz to settle things with our own penalty in the 117th minute. Just, man, a couple players you wish you could forget there for sure. But look, we know largely because Nat and I met up in New York, and then we went to the Flamengo game together, that this tournament's been all over the place. It has been kind of a wild ride. It's better than I thought it would be competitively. I thought there would be kind of a Euro romp, and that's certainly not been the case. In fact, on our side of the bracket, there are two Brazilian teams in Palmeiras and Fluminense, along with upset special Al Hilal, who beat Man City the other night to advance to the quarterfinal. So Thiago Silva and Fluminense will take on Al Hilal in the other quarterfinal. On our side, we will, of course, take on Palmeiras. We will know by the time that we play who we have if we do advance past Palmeiras in the semifinal from that matchup. On the other side of the bracket, PSG dispatched the Messi-led Inter Miami with great ease, and in fact, a little bit of like, please don't score more on them. At the end of that one, Bayern Munich advanced past Flamengo in kind of a rock'em sock'em match down in Miami. Real Madrid continues to look just not really that convincing in this tournament. They look kind of flimsy, if I'm honest. They do advance past Juventus 1-0, and Dortmund rally past Monterrey. Decent showing from Monterrey, actually, in this tournament. So Real Madrid, Dortmund, PSG, Bayern on the other side. This is very much the Euro side of the bracket. Chelsea very much in the international flavor side of the bracket. Let's just kind of talk about Palmeiras' road to this spot in the tournament. So they start off with a 0-0 draw against Porto. They then beat Al Ahly 2-0. They then draw with Inter Miami 2-2. And so they advanced to play Botafogo last weekend on Saturday. I thought they were pretty dominant against Botafogo, to be candid. I know that there are a lot of people who kind of picked Botafogo because they had the really strong defense and all that sort of stuff. But I didn't really think that they didn't really offer much else in that game until they were really down. It was like the last few minutes of the game. Palmeiras do rally in that one 1-0, although with a red card that we'll talk about and how that impacts their match against us. Chelsea, of course, rally past Benfica in one of the crazier games of the tournament with the weather delay and the late penalty, but then really jog out in front in extra time and score 3 goals and make it a pretty convincing win in the end. So that's how we got here. Jess, I'm going to look at you for this because I'm trying to figure out, we know that Murillo is going to miss through injury. Piquerez and Gomez will miss out through suspension, right? So we were kind of talking before we jumped on the pod here. 3 of the starting back 4 will be out for this one, which puts, I think, Palmeiras in a bit of a bind as they play just a super high octane Chelsea attack right now. What do you think about the Palmeiras lineup and who might actually be involved in this game with the suspensions?
Probably you're going to see Van der Laan, I think. I would suppose, unless Abel tries something completely different, it would just be Van der Laan for Piqueires, who Van der Laan is actually a really good player as well. But they do lose a bit of an outlet when it comes to the attack. I think Piqueires offers a bit more. He takes free kicks, as some of you might have seen if you watched Palmeiras throughout the Club World Cup. And so they miss a little bit there. I think their biggest miss, though, will probably be Gomez, their captain leadership. He is someone that, much like Thiago Silva, organizes the defense a lot. He's fantastic with headers. So they do lose a little bit there as well, both in terms of defense and offense and what he offers there. So I'm very intrigued to see who Abel goes with, because so far in this tournament, they have been using a 4-2-3-1. And so they've been consistent with that, just changing players, but keeping the same system and the same format. And I'm wondering whether or not, because he lost so many players in his starting lineup, whether he's going to shift there to a back 3 or 5. So we have to see if he's going to do that, because we've seen, and Abel, as the manager, can be very conservative at times. And so he might look at this and deploy that back 3 formation that he also does in Brasileirão whenever he's ahead of the game. So whenever he scores a goal early, you often see him shift formation, sometimes without even substitution, but just on the field. And I'm wondering whether or not he's going to try something like that, but to start with, much like what we saw Fluminense do against Inter, to just keep it very tight and just try something in a counterattack of sorts.
Yeah, I just want to mention the defense here, Nat, because one of the stats from the Chelsea stat pack on our website was that the 1-0 win was their 10th clean sheet in the last 14 matches. However, in the other 3 where they didn't keep a clean sheet, they conceded multiple goals in those games. So it's kind of an all or nothing approach for them. Whether they concede once, they're probably likely to concede multiple times. And so I guess I'm curious if you support the theory that Jess just brought up, which is maybe they start out ultra defensive, hoping to just keep it tight and then fix it as they go, kind of reverse engineer what they've done previously.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to adopt a very similar behavior than they did against Porto, though I feel like Chelsea is much better as a team and has more individual players that can make a difference than Porto. But I feel like they're going to start like that. They had their chances. They could have won that game. In the final 10 minutes, Palmeiras did crazy things and tried to win that game. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, because of we were talking about them conceding and everything. How about shifts defenses and attackers and systems throughout the games? But I feel like they're going to force us to errors in the build-up, and that's something that I feel like we should keep an eye on, because Sanchez is everything but reliable. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what Abel will do, just because, as Jess said, he keeps changing formations. He's got no problem changing formations. He's going to have to change names, so why not change formations? I don't feel like he's changing formations, and I feel like he's going with Mikael in the place of Gomez, which would make Bruno Fuchs, who's been playing now with Gomez, shift to the right center back spot, and Mikael goes to the left center back spot, and that will be a change from what we've been seeing throughout the competition as well. So I feel like we could see different things, but if he will try to do so many different things, system-wise and name-wise, well, name-wise he'll have to. But I don't feel like he's going to, for example, I thought he would drop Estêvão, and I was talking to a Palmeiras friend of mine, and he was like, I don't think he's dropping Estêvão, even though Estêvão said what he said, even though there's obviously a conflict of interest there. But he said, I don't feel like he's dropping Estêvão. And I changed my mind, and I was like, okay, he's not dropping Estêvão. He's going to start. So, yeah, this could be interesting as well. So what I was going to talk about, Palmeiras in attack, they likely concede multiple goals. And what is funny is Abel then just drops his system out of nowhere and puts everyone in attack. It's crazy. They just go attacking. There's no system. There's no organization. They just go. They just go and try to score. And that's a moment in the, if it's 0-0, it's probably not happening. But if Chelsea is 1-up and it's like the 75th minute, we may see that happening, and that's where Chelsea could be lethal and kill the game. So I feel like this is a key aspect in the match that I would like to highlight, just because I don't feel like it's going to be like an easy win for any team. So, well, we'll see.
Well, we will see. I mean, let's talk about the man of the moment here. Multiple man of the match winner, Estêvão from the group stage. Obviously, has been playing kind of a different role on the left hand side. I think there's a lot of commentary out in the space, Jess, about is he most effective out there? Is it to cover some of the defensive inadequacies from the right back spot? Is it, a way to kind of stretch the defense in transition? Like what are your thoughts about his performances so far in the Club World Cup, and if we will potentially see him out on that left hand side against our captain Reece James on Friday?
I think, as Nat said, you never know with Abel, right? So I'm honestly, I part of me thinks that he will start, but part of me thinks he will be dropped altogether. Still, I'm still unsure of what Abel's going to do. I'm serious with this because I was so surprised when he came off against Botafogo, and not just me. I was watching with a couple of friends who are Palmeiras fans, and nobody understood because at that point he was their
like the
only
65th
outlet.
minute too.
Yeah,
Like
and
it was
and
early.
and he started this. Yeah, and he started the second half really, really well. And he was their outlet at that point in time, and he was the one trying things and offering some kind of danger. And so everybody was a little confused because he took off Victor Roque, which was expected because he wasn't really playing well. But then he also took off Estêvão. So Abel has stuff like that, which you never really understand sometimes where it's going to turn. It becomes a little bit difficult. As for Estêvão, I mean, we've talked about it time and time again. He's not at his best when he plays on the left hand side. I mean, he's still a good player. He can do a job there, but it's night and day when you see him playing on the right side. I think, and we were talking a little bit about this before, it has a lot to do with the fullbacks that he has to play with, the deficiencies of those fullbacks and what the fullbacks offer going forward. So I think he has a better understanding with Piqueires, who also is not going to be playing against Chelsea, but who plays on the left-hand side. And then when you look at the right back, he doesn't offer that much. It's not really a great passer. And Estêvão sometimes even gets a little bit frustrated and has to drift to the center to get the ball. So there are a couple of things that, you have to take into account. And the fact that Palmeiras does have a lot of options up front. So they have Alan, who's good. They have Mauricio. They have Facundo Torres. So there are options to shift. And I think that Abel looks at the opposition and where he thinks also where Estêvão can do the most damage. So if he feels a weakness on the other team, then he maintains Estêvão on the left side, hand side. So I have we're in a bit of a pickle here because I'm also not even sure that Reece James is going to start as the right back because Maresca has his own unknown issue about whether or not he's going to play Reece in midfield. We don't know. So I honestly do not know. If I had to bat at this moment in time, I would say that he will start on the left just because he has been doing so in the Club World Cup and already a lot of changes. But I think he would hurt Chelsea the most if he were to play on the right because he's more comfortable there. And also because on the left, I'm expecting that we're going to be seeing Reece James. Like I'm hoping, not expecting, but I'm hoping we're going to be seeing Reece James. And I don't think Abel wants to see that because he wants Estêvão to have the most space. So maybe if Gusto is there, or if you feel Malo Gusto can start there. So it's all games of chess almost. There are a couple of quite, we're going to have to see. But one thing that I would say for everybody to keep an eye out on is that there was a big surprise, I think, when Victor Roque started against Botafogo because he hasn't really been playing well. And they have a player named Flaco Lopez who usually plays really, really well, has been scoring his goals. But apparently there was this problem outside of the field with the manager. So that's also something to keep an eye out on, because Vitor Roque is a bit out of form. So maybe we're going to see Flaco Lopez if they resolve their issues. He didn't play against Botafogo. I'm not sure, because he ended up with Paulinho, who also is not match fit to play 90 minutes. So I don't think he's going to start either. So right now there are a bunch of unknowns. So it's going to be interesting when the two lineups come, and we're going to have a few surprises, I think.
Yeah, Nat, I was kind of thinking about, this is obviously a huge, huge opportunity for Estevão to play against Chelsea. The opportunity to kind of impress Maresca from the other side of the field, kind of show his new teammates what they're in for in training when he gets in and kind of pass the Club World Cup. How do you think, obviously he's a young man, he has his mentality you've talked about at length before, but how do you think he takes on this opportunity?
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna take it just like he's been taking it all, pretty humbly. I don't know what to expect. I'm with Jess a little bit, as in I'm not sure if Estevão is gonna be dropped. I'm believing this friend of mine that said he's definitely not getting dropped, so let's hope. But I feel like, I don't know, he's key to this Palmeiras working in attack, because he's Abel has been studying Vitor Roque and Estevão and Mauricio, and Estevão has been playing on the left, but he also drops on the right, and even as center forward, let's put it this way. So Vitor Roque can shift with Mauricio. So there's a rotation there that works and makes Palmeiras attack better, especially because both Estevão and Mauricio like to shoot from the edge of the box. So that's a threat we need to keep an eye on as well. I don't know how I can't imagine how he's feeling right now. Honestly, I don't know how I would feel in his shoes. So I expect him to be, like knowing he could be knocked out, but I don't even know how to express, because I can't imagine what he's feeling, what he will feel. And I don't know, but he's a key player. He's not having his best performances at the tournament. Although he got like 2 men of the matches, I guess, but he's not at his best. It's quite clear for everyone. 2 eyes and a brain, he's not at his best. And he even said that this has to do with his move to Chelsea and everything. So it's a big, who knows? But I expect him to approach the game as professionally as possible. And I feel like, as Jess said, I agree. I've been saying that for the whole tournament, basically. If teams want to beat us, they have to use their right hand side in attack, our left, because Cucurella is about to die. Honestly, he's super tired, and it shows game after game. It's like crazy. So I feel like if he plays there, Palmeiras do have a chance of beating Chelsea. So I don't even know if I want him to play there. But yeah, it's a game of unknowns, and this one, how Stephen will be feeling, is a big unknown as well.
Yeah, I mean, let's transition over to Chelsea here, because I think the team has been obviously rolling out a new tactical approach during this tournament, switching however you see it. There are multiple different people who see it different ways, whether it's a 3-4-3 or a 4-2-2-2, just depending, I think, whether we're in transition or not. I see it more as a 4-2-2-2 with a kind of a narrow front attacking four and overlapping fullbacks, which I think we're all in favor of overlapping fullbacks as a tactical approach. So nods from us on that one. But I actually think that we played incredibly well against Benfica at the weekend. I don't believe they deserved a sniff in that game. I thought they were very, very bad, and we were much, much better than they are. Given that this is like the third consecutive match, the Benfica match was the third consecutive match in which we kind of played this tactical setup. Do you feel like just the team's getting a little bit more comfortable with it and their positioning and kind of where they're supposed to be?
I mean, in theory, you would say so, but then you lose a key player in Moises Caicedo, and now you have a lot of questions, because if you go by the, like by like, then you take out Caicedo, you put Esugo, and you go, right? But we know that Maresca is not that comfortable with trusting, newcomers. So I don't think he will start Andre. I don't think he will start Isugo, which makes me think maybe he would go with KDH. Maybe he would go with Reece James. So I'm ready to be surprised actually, and see him play Isugo and Andre and whatever. But I've went through every scenario in my head of maybe putting Reece James in midfield, and then that gives you Enzo and Reece, but then we don't know what's going on with Lavia, right? As well, because we don't know if Lavia is suspended, if is not suspended, but injured or ill. So it's complicated.
This brings up an interesting point, right? Because in this new kind of tactical setup, obviously plays to Caicedo's strengths in an incredible way. He can obviously cover off at right back whenever, Reece or Malagusto gets forward. He's obviously a dynamic central midfielder. We all know that. And he's shown a lot of line breaking pass ability in this tournament that I didn't always see during the regular season. That was more Enzo's role in the squad. So he's been playing incredibly well, but picked up the yellows. And I think, kind of a little bit
unfair ones. Let's just
always unfair on Moises Caicedo for sure. But in terms of tactical profile, you're right. Like Isugo would be the person who would most naturally fit that role. Do you see a scenario, and I'll pass this over to you, Nat. Do you see a scenario where, if Lavia is healthy, I think he's going to start. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Where Enzo Fernandez drops back from that advanced position to partner him, or do you think that there will be another midfield partner that kind of, whether it's Reece James or any of the other midfielders in our stable?
Yeah, I'd like to see Enzo dropping a little bit deeper to play there, and I'd like to see him play alongside Andre, although I know it's very difficult. There's a slight chance we might see that, but I'm holding on to every hope that I have in me, because I feel like against this Palmeiras side, we're going to need some through balls, some line breaking passes, and I feel like those two are the ones that best offer it to us. And they're solid in defense. People keep saying Enzo is not good defensively, but he is. You just have to look at the numbers. He has room to grow, obviously, everyone does. But I feel like he could do a good job, given that the Palmeiras midfield is probably going to be Rios and Aníbal. So I feel like it would be an interesting matchup between those two, and Andre and Enzo as well. So I'd like to see this pairing. Cole as a 10. I'd start George or Madueke on the left, and I wouldn't change Neto because of his moment. 3 goals in 3 games. And he's been dropping some great performances as well. It's not like, he's just scoring goals. No, he's doing what he has to do. He's going back and helping in defense. He's doing what he's supposed to do in every phase of the game. So I wouldn't change him just because of that. And obviously the back line, the one we're used to, or supposedly we're supposed to be used to, Reece on the right and Cucurella on the left. I'd start Tosin, not Chalobah, and I'd go with Calo with him. Same logic as the midfield. I feel like we need good passers there, because I feel like Palmeiras are going to step up the press whenever the ball gets to Sanchez. So I want center backs who are more solid on the ball. When we're building that 3-4-2-1, 3-2-4-1, we got Reece dropping in as the third center back and helping in build up as well. Well, when we advance a bit more, because when we start, we got Sanchez and the 2 center backs, Reece and Cucurella in width anyways. So that helps to have good passers there in the central areas, because if either Vitor Roque or Estêvão gets the ball, it's probably going to be a goal. So we can't miss passes there. They will try to force us to make errors, but we can't make them. So that's why I'd start those 4 in the back line. And again, the rest of the team. And obviously, Leon Delap up front. I don't feel like Jackson deserves to go back straight to the starting 11. But yeah, we've seen it happening with some players back from injury and all. I hope we don't see it with Jackson, although it was a suspension, but who knows? It's good when selecting his teams.
Yeah, I don't anticipate Jackson will start this game. I think I'm going with a pretty similar tactical setup. I think this is intentional and ahead of the season as kind of like a preseason training. I think it's the same back four. I think it's James, Tosin, Colwell, Cucurella, Sanchez, of course, in goal. I think it's Lavia and Enzo. If Lavia is not healthy, then your guess is as good as mine with what that midfield is going to look like. We might just play around the midfield, frankly, if that's not the case. Neto, Palmer, Delat, Madueke is that kind of tight front four. I think James and Cucurella getting a little bit further forward, and then the midfield kind of dropping back to help support the center backs when they do. That's kind of, I think, the way it's going to look for me. What about you, Jess?
Are you asking about what I want to see or what I think we'll see?
I did what I think we'll see.
Okay.
But do what you want to see. Just give us your dream lineup. Come on.
Okay. So what I think we'll see, I think we'll see what you said. I think that's going to be the lineup. I fear we're going to see Reece in midfield and Malagusto on the right, but I'm expecting what you suggested. I just have this nagging fear, but the fact that we tried that before in this competition, it didn't really work. Maybe, it played to our advantage at this point in time. And what I would prefer, everybody knows, people are going to say, oh no, here comes Jess with the Andre prop. And yes, I would play Andre. Okay. I would play Enzo deeper.
We all would, to be fair. This isn't just you.
So that's the dream lineup. That's the dream difference for me, but I'm not expecting him to, and I'm okay with that as well. And that's something that I'm going to take this just to explain some things. Okay. The thing is, people say, oh, Jess just wants Andre to play. No, I completely understand that he is behind the pecking order, and that's completely fine. It's fair. What I think people, not by our heart, but he needs to prove himself, and the manager needs to see what he has to offer, and that's just normal. So that's fine. I think the issue that we have, it's when you have a perfect opportunity to try something, and then you see players that are leaving, getting chances, or like a right back in midfield and stuff like that. So that's when it becomes a problem. But this is a must-win game. If Maresca is not comfortable starting the new guys, and that's fair. I don't have to like it, but it's completely fair. Let's be honest. But yeah, so that's my dream, but I think you got it straight. I think Palmer will come back and maybe do a little bit more of what Enzo has been doing in the back, and then we have Nani on the left, more on the half space down the left, and that's what we're going to be seeing. And I'll be honest, if that's the lineup, then it's more than enough to beat Palmeiras. We should be able to beat them. So,
yeah.
I will mention the pitch in Philadelphia, not the best. It's a little dry. The ball kind of holds up and checks up. I think this is going to be, I joked to you guys over the weekend watching the Botafogo match that it's much more of a UFC fight than it is a football match at times. I think it could kind of be like, it could be like this. It could be a little choppy.
Yeah.
It might not be the most smooth.
That's why we need players from South America. Yeah. Enzo.
Well, speaking of, we just picked up one, which I think we're going to end the show on here, which is Joao Pedro has now officially joined Chelsea, officially unveiled today with probably the coolest intro video we've seen in some time down at South Beach. Very Rio, kind of coming back into his life with Chelsea. This deal obviously got done incredibly quickly. He's been rumored for some time, but really kind of picked up in the last week or so. Newcastle wanted him. We wanted him. We got him, which, thankfully, I think due to Champions League football, you have the opportunity to kind of beat opposition teams into some of these signings. He mentions when you join Chelsea, you can only think of one thing: to win trophies. In every competition, you have to think, I play for Chelsea, and this is my ambition. I have to be more ready, because if we lose a game in this tournament, it's done. We're out of the tournament. So I need to prepare myself in the days that I've got and be ready to help the team. I think first and foremost, there's not a chance we see him play in the rest of this tournament, right?
Oh, I don't know.
No,
maybe if we go past Palmeiras, maybe. But I don't know. I was talking to some friends about it and watching the media talk about it. Yeah, actually, I was at the gym and there were some guys talking, and I was like, okay. And they were like, he probably knew there was
doing,
going to be
doing scouting at the gym, Nat. Come on, I love it.
Yeah, they were like, oh, he probably knew that he was going to Chelsea, so he's probably preparing for it. He was probably preparing for it for some time now. So I feel like he's going to be a little bit behind everyone, but I feel like he could get minutes. I don't know.
I think he can get minutes, actually. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe
I don't
not.
see him starting and everything, but I think the fact that he comes from the Premier League would make Maresca feel more comfortable, because whether people like it or not, there is that aspect of Andre playing abroad, of Asugo playing abroad, and all of that. I think Estevão will need a lot of time to earn the trust of the manager. But you're talking about a player that has been playing in the Premier League, that understands English football. I actually think Maresca would be comfortable with him, nicking minutes here and there if we go through. And the fact that we don't have Sancho, we don't have a lot of options up front, could work in his favor, as opposed to when you're looking in midfield where we have a lot of, an abundance of players to choose from and talent. So I wouldn't be surprised. I actually wouldn't be surprised at all. I know it's a little mismatch with what we said, but because of the circumstances being a bit different, I can see it. You can't see it,
but no, but that's okay. I mean, look, just a little bit of background on Joao Pedro, and we will have a full CFC Central scouting special coming at you as soon as Friday, I think, this week. So you'll get the deep dive with Sam, of course. But to Nat's chagrin, obviously a Fluminense product coming out of Rio. Really started in England at Watford all the way back in the day, which I totally spaced on for some reason. I forgot that he was at Watford for a while. And then, of course, signed for Brighton in 2023. He had 19 goals in all comps that season. Took a bit of a step back last year, only had 10 and 7 in all comps, 10 goals, 7 assists. Went from like 2,600 minutes in the all comps to like 2,000 minutes all comps. Danny Welbeck started over him in some games. He did take penalties as well in both those seasons. It's kind of a mixed bag with him, guys. There's obviously flair for the dramatic there, a really talented footballer. And there's also some of the same things that we see with some of our players that are at Chelsea right now, which is frustrating inconsistency and, maybe not always having their head in the game from a tactical perspective. So give me, Nat, your kind of assessment of this signing from like a grade perspective, and then how do you see him fitting into the Chelsea lineup in probably a new tactical setup?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to do the FIFA one that goes from A to F. I'd say it's a B. FIFA, no,
okay. B's fair.
But I'd say it's a B. Just because of the price. I'm bothered about the price. But yeah, it's not, João Pedro is not the player that we needed the most in this window. But I don't hate it. I like him. Maybe because he's from Brazil. Who knows? Maybe because he lives in the same city as me for years. Who knows? Not so much because he comes from Fluminense. But yeah, I feel like he offers different things from Jackson and Delap. I don't know if he's going to be a Palmer substitute, if he's going to play in that 10, walking through the space, moving around. But he could do that. I was reading an article that came out on The Athletic today. They were comparing him like to Firmino at Liverpool. And I was like, okay, that's fair. That's something we can see. Firmino is not that 9, but he could finish. Just like Firmino could run the pitch, could serve Mane and Salah. And I feel like we could be seeing that from him because he's very good in build-up, helping build up, because he goes to the ball. He doesn't wait the ball to come to him. He goes to the ball, gets the ball. He can turn and pass. He can find his teammates. He can create chances for himself because he can carry the ball as well. So he's got those progressive runs and passes, which I feel like it's important. We don't have that much with Jackson. He can go forward. Obviously, he can link up, but João Pedro does it in a more solid way. And he also has the finishing and shooting ability that Jackson also has, but João Pedro can offer it in a bit of a different way. He can finish from the edge of the box, for example, which I don't remember Jackson doing that often. So
once against Everton last year, but yes,
So,
usually he's well into the box.
There's that difference as well, and well, he doesn't need to be on the because the lab should be there, and they could complement each other very well. So I'm excited to see. I've been thinking about how Chelsea could change things because I was thinking I guess I've talked to you about it. I can see Chelsea playing a 4-3-2-1, and João Pedro could be one of those two up front. Who knows? Or in the 3-2-4-1 that we build when we have the ball and where we are attacking, it could be one of those two in the midfield who play more centrally and everything. And he could help in that way, not being a center forward, though he says he's a center forward, and that he feels like he plays like Lewandowski, who is a center forward. But I feel like he could offer much more than a center forward offers, a pure center forward offers to Chelsea, especially because Delap is there. And I'm in love with him, so I don't want him out of the team under no circumstances at the moment.
Yeah. You're in love with him. Okay, interesting. I guess, Jess, give me your grade and where you think he fits. I think, there's a lot of analysis that comes out that says he's probably kind of in off the left, second striker, maybe a part of the two-man front line. Is that kind of how you're seeing it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Nat in terms of like the B. And the reason for me, it's not even the fee, because I told myself, and you guys know this, I'm not looking at fees this summer for my mental health. So I'm just like completely blocking that out. It's simply just because it's not like our main priority, or like the priority I think that we needed to address. And I don't think he is right now a player that would just absolutely take us to the next level, to the point of, oh, okay, he's like, it's okay because it's a position we didn't need, but he elevates us so much. So that's the only reason I wouldn't grade it as an A. But looking at the player, and it's interesting because I think what he offers is also a concern of mine. It's like the positive and the negative. The biggest positive right now, if you're looking at him and what he can offer the squad, is the versatility, because he can work on multiple positions. He can cover multiple positions. Nat talked about so many different systems and formations, and the fact that he can, fill in at number 10, work down the left, work with a center forward, or just be a center forward if needed. Even though I also agree it's not the best position. I like him as a two-man attack, and someone goes a little bit behind someone like Delap. It's a huge opportunity for squad management, and we know we have Champions League, and we would like to think that Palmer's going to be flying and playing incredibly well, and also being part of England. And so you need to be able to rotate, and also, having someone that knows the league and can contribute, it's huge. But it's also a concern about, okay, he is not a 9, he is not a 10, he is a 9.5. So how do you take the best out of him? Because we've seen with Nkuku and we've seen with João Felix, it didn't really work before. I do think that this new change system that we're seeing in the Club World Cup might suit him a lot more. Somewhere like where Palmer's playing down the left and half spaces. I was thinking about how, because one thing that I think it's very underrated with João Pedro is how good he is in the air. So he's a very, very good header of the ball. He makes chances not only with his carrying of the ball, but also he's able to take a cross that is not perfect and just find a way to go at it. And so he's really good in the air. So maybe down the left, where he can occupy the positions we normally would see Marco Cucurella occupy and score a couple of goals. But I think having someone like João Pedro in those positions with this new system might offer us something even more helpful. So I think he offers a lot in terms of chances created, in terms of, I think he adds a lot of power in the air, aggression that sometimes we lack, and now Delap offers as well, which is also something we need to just tone it down so we don't have a lot of red cards. But other than that, someone's that with a lot of drive and that old school Chelsea vibe, I think that he offers so much. I would say, obviously, we're going to have the deep dive with Sam, as you said, but I would say, and I just leave it here so Sam can listen and talk it a little bit about how he always, you would see him shoot sometimes and it gets blocked a lot. And I I see that happening at time. He takes a little bit longer to in position his body in the way that you would see, like, why are you shooting right now? It's obviously going to get blocked, and he has that, something that I want him to correct. But I didn't expect to be so excited about the signing. Maybe it's the Chelsea blue. Like, the minute a player puts on the Chelsea blue, I'm like, okay, aura, like whatever it is, it's working for you. Continue with it. But I am very excited. I think he can offer a lot in terms of both rotation, but also we've talked about like deep blocks and sometimes how we struggle to create like that first goal after the first goal, but that first goal and the fact that he is fantastic in terms of chances created, also amongst like the forwards. If you look at his numbers and how many assists and how many chances he created, something that we can be very excited about. Also, we're making Chelsea Brazilian again, so I'm all up for it.
Yeah, this is number 3, right? Of course, Estêvão coming, Andre already here, and Joao Pedro joining. I mean, I kind of am torn about this. I would call it like a C+ on the grade. I think the great irony being that we're shifting to a model where Christopher Nkunku and Joao Felix might succeed right as we're trying to shift them out. Now, I don't mind that we're shifting either of them out. I don't think that that's the worst strategy in the world, but I think it's just ironic in a lot of ways. I look at, the Nkunku signing when we made it as like, wow, this is a game changer. This is a guy who's coming off of a 27, 28 goal season, up for the Bundesliga Player of the Year. Obviously has just a horrible injury, bad luck as he joins Chelsea in a little bit before. But wow, like what a player coming in. Obviously, Nkunku was like 25 at the time, so I think had a couple more years on where Joao Pedro is. I don't feel the same about Joao Pedro right now in terms of like, wow, this is the person who's going to level up our attack immediately. He's going to make us, play some absolutely dynamic football immediately. I think it's probably 6 to 8 months in, he really starts to find his footing. I'll be interested to see how Chelsea deal with the Champions League, all the other cups, and the Premier League, and kind of how Maresca feels like he can rotate his lineup, because I think we're starting. Matt Law reports that Chelsea want 8 or 9 attackers for the 4 spots, and so I think there's naturally going to be some rotation in that front 4. I think less so in midfield and defense probably than we'd care for. But I'm really interested in that, because I see a place for him either as a kind of tucked in, as you guys were kind of talking about formation wise, tucked in member of a 2, behind a 1, or as like a second striker up top with the lap. And that's, I think, where he'll thrive the best. And I think him and Nico will be fighting for that role, assuming that Nico stays at the club this summer, because they're different and they're going to offer different things if they do indeed kind of play that formation. So yeah, lots of really interesting stuff. Of course, want to hear what everyone in the comments has to say about this wonderful signing, the 3rd Brazilian signing at the club. We're all the way back, baby. We're all the way back to getting a little bit of Samba back at Chelsea. But that's going to wrap this one up, guys. Thank you for doing the match preview. Thanks for talking about Joao Pedro. Of course, give Jess and Nath their flowers in the comments. And we will be back with another CFC Central scouting special. Say that 8 times fast on Friday to talk about the man, the myth, Joao Pedro. So until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.